Top defense officials say U.S. personnel and Afghan allies are being evacuated from Afghanistan and will continue to be for the next several days. This as the Senate-passed infrastructure bill heads to the House, and Illinois Democrats prepare to redraw the state's congressional districts. Joining us to talk about all of this and more is Congressman Rodney Davis, a Republican from downstate Taylorville. Congressman Davis, thank you again for being back here with us. Let's start with the situation in Afghanistan. The defense officials briefed the media saying that American troops will be there at the Kabul airport evacuating American personnel and Afghans for the next several days. What is the latest that you're hearing about the situation?
Well, Paris, thanks again for having me on. It's great to be with you. I'm just heartbroken by what I'm seeing in Afghanistan right now. What we're seeing on the ground is not indicative of any peaceful transition for Americans to get to Kabul airport to be evacuated by Americans. The Taliban now controls more provinces today than they did on September 10th of 2001. This is a debacle of epic proportions that was terribly executed by the Biden administration. And frankly, the goal was to get 2,500 troops out, and we now have thousands more going in just to evacuate those first 2,500 and Americans and allies who need to get to the United States of America. It's wrong. It's the wrong approach, and unfortunately, this will be remembered for a very long time.
And speaking of how quickly the Taliban has overtaken, the Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley today said that everyone was taken off guard with how quick the Taliban took control. Take a look.
There was nothing that I or anyone else saw that indicated a collapse of this army and this government in 11 days.
Congressman, was there any intelligence you were privy to or anything that you heard that would have indicated that the Afghan government would collapse so quickly?
No, I was not privy to any intelligence, but frankly, it's very disappointing to hear this from our top military brass, and I'd like to question them and our military leaders as to why they didn't know that removing 2,500 troops and giving the Taliban a deadline and then taking away the air cover that we've given to the Afghan military as part of their overall security strategy away from them. How did they not think this was going to happen? This is a frustrating moment that will go down in American history as one of the biggest strategic blunders of our military and of a president in our lifetime.
And part of the evacuation process right now, Congressman, is resettling Afghans that assisted the U.S. in war there. There are tens of thousands looking for special immigrant visa status, refugee status in the United States. Would you support a sizable number of Afghan refugees coming to Illinois?
Absolutely. These are the folks that fought the Taliban and fought alongside America to give the Afghan people freedoms that they didn't enjoy in the last Taliban in the last Taliban rule, and they're not going to enjoy now in this current Taliban rule of their homeland. You got to remember, it wasn't too long ago, a little under 20 years ago to be exact, that women in Afghanistan couldn't attend school. Over the last 20 years, working side by side with our military and NGOs coming from the United States of America and our allies, young women in Afghanistan had the opportunity to become educated. Now they're going back to the dark ages that the Taliban brings when they take over a country like Afghanistan.
Is there action? I was sorry, Congressman. Is there action Congress should take to speed up the special immigrant visa process, as these things can get bogged down in bureaucracy in the weeds, to assist in getting Afghans here quickly?
Yes, but the problem is, how do you execute that? How do you execute that action? And right now, executing those actions is something that is dependent upon the Biden administration. If they fail as miserably at getting that process put in place and bringing those brave Afghan interpreters and their families back to the United States, then what's it going to matter? We have a problem with execution from the Biden administration, and I'm terribly, terribly disappointed in what's happening in Afghanistan, and I will do everything I can to work in a bipartisan manner to help our allies.
All right, let's move on to some domestic politics, Congressman. It seems like forever ago now, given all the news, but the $1 trillion infrastructure bill passed the Senate on a bipartisan vote. It includes funding for roads, bridges, mass transit, replacing lead water lines, broadband internet. Does this look like a bill that you would support?
Look, there are a lot of provisions in that infrastructure package that was negotiated in a bipartisan way by our senators that I've supported in the past and I continue to support. The bottom line is, though, I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to vote on that standalone bill. Speaker Pelosi has said that she won't have a vote on the standalone bill unless it's coupled with a $3.5 trillion liberal wish list package that they're going to run through reconciliation. And in that $3.5 trillion are tax and fee increases on every single American that would destroy our agricultural economy and our energy economy right here in Illinois. And also Green New Deal policies that would do the same to both of those economies.
So you're saying it's kind of contingent on what happens with that other $3.5 trillion bill and what Democrats choose to do with both of these bills. Let's talk about the census numbers that came out last week showing a 0.01% decline of population in Illinois. It's going to lose a seat in Congress. The Chicago area, the city gaining modestly, but downstate losing a significant amount of population. Why is that happening in Illinois, especially downstate?
Well, I think it's happening across Illinois. Otherwise, we wouldn't have lost a congressional seat. There may be some population gain in the city, but it's indicative that we should have been growing more. A state like Illinois, with the potential that we have to bring in Silicon Valley investments, we ought to be doing more to make those things happen here to bring people to Illinois. But it's the failed policies of the Democrats that have run Springfield for decades that are causing Illinoisans to leave this state, and especially downstate. They're leaving to go to lower tax states and states with opportunities for better jobs.
And these sound like issues that a governor deals with every day. You've made no bones about your interest in potentially seeking the Republican nomination for governor. Do you plan to run for governor of Illinois in 2022?
It's a great question, Paris. I'm going to be consistent like I always have. And everyone that knows me for my consistency. I've said all along, my political future depends upon the Democrats who have super majorities in Springfield and upon Governor Pritzker deciding to whether or not to keep his promise of not signing another legislatively drawn gerrymandered political map that's going to be coming out of the Democrat State House very soon.
So are you, and that could affect your congressional district. So are you saying your interest in being governor really is contingent on whether or not you have a good chance of keeping your seat in Congress based on what these maps turn out to be?
I've said all along, my first preference is to go back to a Republican majority in Congress, eventually run to be chairman of Transportation and Infrastructure, where I can work hand in hand with my Republican and Democratic colleagues to bring infrastructure investments to Illinois. But my political future is not going to be based upon what I decide. It's going to be based upon the corrupt Democrats in Springfield who are going to gerrymander a congressional district map like they have in the past, and they will then complain about Republicans doing the same in other states.
And are you saying that you believe that that gerrymandering, so to speak, would affect your district and make it tougher for you to run in your district?
It's not a question I can answer. It's a question you're going to have to ask Senator Durbin. You're going to have to ask Governor Pritzker and the Democratic leaders in Illinois who have complete control over this process.
Let me ask you this. So what's your time frame in deciding? Is it just based on when the maps come out, you take a look at that, and then you're going to decide whether you run for governor?
Well, I'm going to decide what my future holds for me and my family based upon the political battlefield that the Democrats control. And when they release it, I'll make my decisions.
And I'm sure you're looking forward to Republican Day tomorrow at the Illinois State Fair and some of the great food offerings that they always have to offer over there in Springfield. Our thanks, as always, to Congressman Rodney Davis. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Paris.